Hey, what's going on, summoners? Welcome back to another ProGuides video. My name is Nathan and I'll be walking you guys through how to go from a good to a great player. On your journey to high elo, you'll slowly start building yourself into a better player. It's a ton of work and it takes time, but with the right tools, you can improve at a significant rate. So then, let's jump right into a few key differences between a good and a great player. Starting us off strong, we got the idea of learning from others. Learning is a tool that gets people through everything in life. You learned how to drive, how to get dressed, and how to play League. And sometimes you learned all of this through somebody teaching you. While it's direct or indirect, you were able to learn because somebody else taught you. Maybe. Usually it's somebody better or somebody that's already practiced in that area. I mean, you wouldn't ask a physics teacher how to dissect a plant, right? But you'd without a doubt ask him how to teach you physics. So then why is there so much ego around learning League of Legends? For some people, it's simply because you don't want to admit that there's somebody better. In 99% of cases, there's somebody better than you in one way or another. What good players do is that they can admit that somebody else is better. When they lose a game, if the enemy was simply better than them, they know it. It sucks to hear it, but it happens to everybody. Sometimes the enemy really is just better. Great players, however, won't stop there. A great player takes this one step further and approaches their loss with admiration. If they felt outskilled by an opponent, they aren't just brushing it off, but they're not complaining about it either. Instead, they begin asking questions. What did the other player do that made them better? Was it their mechanics, their wave management, their macro? Maybe it's a matchup thing that they got a lot of experience with. Now that you develop these questions, you can take it one step further. You can actually go and watch their VODs. Open their op.gg and see if there are patterns with their runes and items. Try to analyze what they did that made them win against you. If you can even ask them. Ask why they built a certain item, why they took said runes, and why they won the losing matchup. While you're not guaranteed an answer, it doesn't hurt to ask and possibly improve because of it. If you're concerned that it's bad to mimic others, well, just think of it this way. Even Dopa said that he didn't create a lot of his own favorite techniques. He actually saw other people that used it against him and he decided to copy it. With time, he refined it and adapted it to his own playstyle. From there, Dopa ruled the solo queue ladder for years to come. If someone as amazing as Dopa can admit to being inspired by others, then we're sure that you can look past your own mental block and develop your own playstyle by mimicking. Learning is a powerful tool that you can always use to your advantage. Be sure to study others so you can become a great player too. Speaking of which, if you're struggling to move from good to great, don't forget to check us out at ProGuides.com. You can go ahead and view our great catalog of challenger coaches that can create a walkthrough to your dream rank. If you got a busy schedule, well, don't worry about it because we've got you covered. Our trained roster of coaches are here 24/7 ready to help you guys reach your goal, whatever that may be. So what are you waiting for? Go check us out. Anyway, let's get back into the video and dive right into one of the best things that you can do to become a great player. Learning from others isn't the only way to improve, however. A big part of moving on from being a good player is to become self-reflective. You can admit the enemy is better than you all you want, but if you never break down your own mistakes, then you can never work on them. Being self-reflective can actually be pretty difficult. Not only do you have to admit your mistakes, but you need to admit that the game's your fault sometimes. No matter how badly your allies played, admit that you could have always done better. That is one of the hardest things to do when you're looking to climb and improve. Sure, the game may not always be your fault, but it's about finding out where you could have played better that actually matters. Being self-reflective takes quite a bit of time, but it's easier than ever before thanks to all the tools at your disposal. Besides standard guides like coaches and videos, you can take initiative through League's handy VOD review feature. Watch back through your games and see what mistakes you've had. Was there a gank that you shouldn't have died to? Did you overstay and greed for a plate? Maybe you were on the wrong side of the map when an objective was up. Whatever it may be, just find your flaws and work on them. Who cares if your allies are 0-32 combined? Well, I guess you could care about that a little bit, but it's not very productive. You're not here for them. You're here for you to get better at the game so that you can climb higher. Reflection doesn't stop there either. You can look at your own op.gg and analyze a wide array of games. Are your CS numbers low? Then look to farm more. Maybe you farm less in the mid game, so now you can work on it and then watch guides. Do you not buy enough control wards? Well, then make a mental note each game and buy a few more and use them correctly. Is your KP really low each and every game? Well, then participate in more fights with your team and make sure that you're trading towers for it. There's a lot of different things to learn from something as simple as an op.gg page and a few VODs. It takes a lot of time to review your own play and even more to admit that you're playing poorly. This is one of the biggest steps for most League players, but once you accept that you're just a common factor in each of your games, you can truly start to climb. Just be sure that you're not too hard on yourself. There's a massive difference between criticizing your play so you can go ahead and improve, or outright tearing yourself apart for no productive reason. Now before we continue on with the video, don't think for a second that we have forgotten about everybody's favorite ProGuides tradition. For our question of the day today, we want to ask you all, what was your turning point that really made you dedicated to climbing? Was it the competition between your friends or the rush of climbing the ladder? Regardless of what it may be, let us know your answers in the comment section down below. Anyway, let's get back in the video and dive right into the mental battle of climbing the ladder. When you're looking to become a great player, it can be incredibly difficult to keep your mental state in check. This is mostly due to the consequences of seeking improvement and focusing on competitive play. It's natural in competitions to be hard on others as well as hard on yourself. No one really likes running it down themselves. It can often feel like either you or your team is the burden, when in reality, it shouldn't be either party. Good players get tilted and occasionally flame. It's normal, and it's something that happens to the best of us. They will also critique their own mistakes, but may overstep and tear themselves down on the misplays. Becoming a great player is knowing how to balance these things. A great player may get tilted, but rather than playing off their own emotions, they take the time and plan out their win con. Instead of flaming their allies, they look to play as a team to win the game. Rather than telling themselves that they suck and will never climb, they say that they didn't play well and think about how they could have played each situation differently. That one mistake may live in their head for the rest of their day, but with each passing thought, they improve their approach. Being able to climb is all about your mental fortitude and your ability to forgive both yourself and your allies. We all make mistakes. Drilling too hard into them will never be beneficial to you nor your allies. So take some time to make sure that you're in a good state of mind before you play. Which actually brings us to our next point. Relax and slow down. Like we just said, your mental fortitude is incredibly important when you're looking to improve. If you're tilted about a game, don't queue up and play with your emotions driving you. Taking a breath and giving yourself some room is so important. Go get some water, walk around, play an ARAM, go to the gym, get some boba. These are all things that I decide to do. However you like to cool off, trust us, it's not beneficial to anybody to play when you're upset. This coincides with being exhausted or just not feeling mentally well enough for solo queue. Sometimes we've had rough days and we really need to take some time for ourselves. Don't force yourself to grind out games. You'll only end up beating yourself up over the mistakes that you make, and it'll be unproductive. Instead, let yourself have some fun. League is a game. Don't forget that. Games are meant to be fun. Make sure that you're taking time to enjoy it, because once it becomes more of a chore than a relaxation, then it can become taxing to play. Limit yourself to a few try-hard games a day so you don't burn yourself out. And lastly, take your time and slow down. You're in no rush to improve. Give yourself the space to make mistakes and take your time as you become a great player. Rushing yourself will only develop bad habits and take a serious toll on your mental. If you want to, you will improve. Just keep at it and let yourself grow over time. Before we continue on to the end of the video, if you want to join an amazing group of people like you that loves lists, talk pieces, and other things like this, check out our Discord using the link found in the description. Anyway, let's get back into the video. Last but certainly not least, we have knowing your champion limits. There's always a speech about being a one-trick and having a few champion mains. And honestly, it's pretty accurate. Having a limited champion pool is a solid way to climb since it lets you focus on your fundamentals. However, it's not very helpful if you're trying to one-trick Qiyana from bronze or if you're looking to play Zeri jungle every game. Of course, some people are just a little bit more mechanically gifted than others, in which case, be our guest. Become the best Qiyana NA. Show the world that you're the next Uzi. Whatever you decide to do, know your limits. Don't force yourself into champions that are extremely hard to play simply because you're trying to be the next Faker. You can widen your champion pool on your way to pro play, but for now, pick 3 or less champions that match your playstyle well. If you're great at macro but your mechanics aren't that solid, then just do what Dopa does, play Twisted Fate, and use your macro to carry games. If you're far more of a micro player, then pick champions that let your mechanics flourish. Show off on the enemies with Irelia, Qiyana, and Vayne. We're not saying to always pick easy champions, but take the time to know your limits and know what you can play. Imagine you're trying to improve and become the great player, but this entire time you're trying to improve your Irelia all-in combo and master all the matchups instead of playing to your strengths. While you're trying to keep up with Irelia, the enemy team is insta-locking Garen every single game and guiding his team into victory through elite shot calling and macro play. It can be very difficult to drop the ego and play what feels comfortable, but at the end of the day, you're playing for yourself and so that you can go ahead and improve. Not to prove something to a stranger that you ran into in solo queue. So if it feels right, pick up those so-called quote-unquote unskilled champions. Show that you can be the best enchanter player. Become the master of cheese with picks like Twitch or Nunu Mid. Play what you enjoy and what feels comfortable. Play for your strengths. And that sums up our video for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to join our ProGuides family at ProGuides.com. I'm really sorry if I sound really exhausted throughout this video. I've been up since 5 a.m. just working on set. But thank you guys so much for being patient with me. Hopefully you guys could extend that patience to yourself when you guys go ahead and climb up the rank ladder, because it's just as important. Anyway, I love you all so much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.